yes, I believe she is misusing it, let's call it.
Here he is talking about that specific scene. I'm not going to speculate as to Miss Lively's motivations for mentioning me in the complaint.
Ever felt like your voice didn't matter? Like the truth was buried beneath headlines? This revealing look into Blake Lively's rumored involvement in Onset Turmoil uncovers a disturbing tale of control and intimidation behind Hollywood's glamorous curtain.
First read Blake's lawsuit, I read that kind of in horror, like, oh my God, they really left her out to dry like that in stirrups with only a cloth covering it? Like, what the heck? As I read that, I assumed, why would she make this up? She's a pretty big deal. She's got a lot of power. Like, why would she want to risk putting such a big lie out there? That could also be easily proven false, but she did it. She leveled down, she tripled down, she keeps doing this. And so to finally have an actor be like, no. You were wearing a whole getup, girl. You were not nearly unclothed. Nice try. We were there. I was literally there, and I did not see anything or try to look. And this implication that everybody was trying to sneak a look or get a piece or flirt or whatever with Blake Lively, to me, all of this just is only proving how insecure and crazy she in fact is, and how manipulative she is in trying to do all this, clearly to get control of this film, which she knew would be huge. And it's all just so sad because, look, again, I want to pump the documentary because I hope you guys will help support it. In fact, we have our With Hate Meghan premiere happening. We're going to be live literally at 3:30 today. I'm going to put a link at the end. Come join us live. We're going to talk about this and a lot of other updates that we had prepared, but I didn't want to wait on this. So I hope you'll join us, and I hope you'll support us on Patreon because we are reaching out to a lot of people. We actually have crew members that have spoken to us. We are attempting to get some more. We're deep into post-production, but continuing to do some more interviews, and everything I'm learning from this is just how manipulative she's been, how she's trying to rewrite the history of it all. And if she had just shut up, let the bad press over the summer die away, they would have had a hit movie on their hands. They could have progressed, moved forward. None of this, I think, would have happened. It's wild how she is tripling down and continuing to try to paint herself as a victim, as now the actual witnesses are coming forward and be like, no, nice try, girl. Not anymore. I can't sit back in silence. I got to defend Justin, and I got to defend myself.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have long been seen as Hollywood's ultimate dream team. Their charming family image, quick-witted banter, and polished red carpet presence. They've earned a spot among the industry's most admired couples. Ryan is often lauded for his magnetic personality and blockbuster resume, while Blake draws constant praise for her refined style and status as a fashion heavyweight. Together they project a flawless image, a seamless mix of charm and calculated finesse, but sometimes a perfect surface hides far more than it reveals. Behind the production of It Ends With Us, a very different picture began to form. One that doesn't quite match their public fairy tale. Quiet allegations of coercion, strategic maneuvering, and PR manipulation have begun to circulate, and they paint a far less flattering scene. Sources close to the set claim Blake and Ryan weren't merely watching the drama unfold. They were allegedly orchestrating it, shaping the narrative to protect their brand. When the court dismissed Justin Baldoni's defamation suit, many took it as a win for Blake. A legal triumph that seemed to validate her version of events while diminishing Justin's stance. But is that the full picture, according to the makers of an explosive upcoming documentary? It's not, and they insist they have more than rumors to back it up. These filmmakers are promising to lift the veil, revealing the kind of behind-the-scenes control that, according to crew members, made honesty a risk too dangerous to take. Imagine working under a constant cloud of fear, unsure whether the smallest mistake might cost your future. That's the type of pressure insiders describe, and Blake and Ryan's star power may have only magnified it. One individual even spoke of a silent code on set, a system where certain people could push limits freely, while others were expected to conform or be pushed out. That's how fear becomes silence, and how truth gets buried. Yet even in an atmosphere built to suppress signs of truth are starting to break through. The documentary's creators claim they hold material that doesn't just challenge Blake's narrative, it flat out contradicts it. PR spin and polished messaging can only go so far, they argue, and what's on camera might tell a very different story. Managing a reputation is one thing, managing raw first-hand footage is another. And if what's been uncovered is accurate, it could completely shift the public's understanding. Testimonies from the production crew are being treated As the key to unraveling this puzzle, voices from those closest to the action, who may have witnessed moments the world is yet to see. But the bigger question remains, why are they speaking now? What pushed them to take such a public stand despite the risks? More importantly, what did they witness behind the scenes that couldn't stay in the dark any longer? Answers might not only alter how Blake is perceived, they could challenge the entire power structure that keeps Hollywood running.
Is the newest chapter in Hollywood's ongoing fight for gender equality. It's rekindled this dormant debate about SH and power dynamics, and we'll see how it plays out, but there's another possibility, one that has less to do with gender than it does with simple cultural misunderstandings. What if much of it, the alleged inappropriate hugging, which Blake mentioned in her new amended suit, the pre-filming praying, could be explained as a clash between a very specific faith-driven community with its unique mores and a much more modern post-Me Too one with its own set of beliefs and commandments? It's a good point. It's a good question. They went through and interviewed many people, past colleagues, etc., and people in the faith and people of Justin's background, and they talked about it. They went into more detail. Speaking as someone, the Justin that I know isn't capable of doing the things that he's accused of doing because he truly sees himself as his feminist. But Blake clearly got grossed out. I honestly feel like it was the perfect storm of two opposing personalities. When Baldoni and Wayfair execs hold meetings, they often start by asking participants to go around the table and share something private, something that brings them joy and has nothing to do with their jobs or their career. In certain professional circles, like those of yoga instructors or doulas, this type of icebreaker might be welcomed, but among time-crunched agents, entertainment lawyers, studio execs, Blake Lively's, folks not exactly known for their touchy-feely ways, a gesture like this nature comes with risks. In my head, I was like, I'm sorry, are we at Cafe Effing Gratitude? Said a female executive at a production company who sat down with Wayfair executives last year, including Baldoni. Why are you imposing your culture on this meeting that's being held at our offices? I can't explain exactly why, but it made me so uncomfortable.
The silence is beginning to crack. Crew members from It Ends With Us are now stepping forward, ready to tell their side, despite the real threat it poses to their careers. These aren't just quiet murmurs or hushed rumors in studio hallways. These are voices, some from seasoned professionals emerging from the sidelines to challenge one of Hollywood's most celebrated figures. While the public sees Blake Lively as polished, gracious, and irresistibly likable, the stories surfacing from the set tell a much darker tale of what it was like working under her presence. The documentary It Ends With Justice is quickly gaining traction, offering these insiders a long overdue opportunity to be heard. According to its creators, this isn't merely about the drama on one film, it's a bold stand against the broader culture of silence that shadows the entertainment world. The mission is clear: create a space where people can speak freely, without fear of backlash. But the cost of speaking out is steep. An industry driven by reputation, even being associated with dissent, can stall or even destroy a career. Still, these individuals are pressing forward. The allegations tied to the production strike at the heart of Blake Lively's carefully curated image. Her public persona of being relatable and professional is now being challenged by reports of behavior that left staff feeling dismissed and demoralized. Some of those now breaking their silence suggest that behind the scenes, she was nothing like the team player she claims to be. Instead, there are emerging claims of a tightly controlled set where dissent was discouraged in authority, allegedly used to keep people quiet. For the filmmakers behind the documentary, these testimonies are more than just background, they're vital. They view the crew's experiences as the kind of truths that powerful figures in Hollywood often work to suppress. Imagine being on set, clocking long hours, forced to smile through discomfort, knowing that complaining might mean you're out of work. Some accounts speak of pressure tactics, subtle intimidation, or even explicit career threats used to enforce compliance. One former crew member described a disturbing moment. They said they witnessed Blake shutting down efforts to resolve rising tensions on set, brushing off warnings that would later escalate. These comments go beyond gossip. They reveal how unstable the power dynamic can become when influence goes unchecked, especially when wielded by high-profile figures like Blake and Ryan. But the real shift may come if these voices are backed by hard proof. The creators of the film suggest that recorded evidence may confirm these claims in ways that can't be polished away by a PR team. And it's this potential proof that could finally challenge the tightly managed image Blake has maintained for years.
Blake Lively's twisted facts and bombshell lawsuit, she never complained on set. Now, this is actor Adam Monsheen, sorry if I'm not saying that right. He portrayed Dr. Dunbar, the actor who was her OBGYN, the one who delivered the baby, the one that Blake Lively accused of being, I don't know, creepy. I don't know what she was even trying to allude, but tried to claim that because he was friends with Justin, it was inappropriate that he was cast as the doctor. Here he is. We actually, full disclosure, we've reached out to him. He never responded. We're reaching out to everybody, guys, for our documentary. So make sure you're supporting. And hopefully we will follow up and see if he's now willing to finally speak, if he'll come on and elaborate a little further. But incredibly nice to see him, and I hope more, speak out. Here he is talking about it, about that specific scene. I'm not going to speculate as to Miss Lively's motivations for mentioning me in the complaint. Needless to say, my experience working with her is very different than the one she described in her lawsuit. Indeed, I was surprised to read her description of the scene. Now, for those of you who don't recall this, let's go through it. Again, he was mentioned in the amended complaint. There was obviously a lot of other accusations that she's making. But this scene where his friend was cast as the OBGYN, she claimed in the suit that the director introduced his best friend to play the role of the OBGYN, which ordinarily a small role of this nature would be filled by a local actor, some rando. But no, Justin hired his actual professional actor friend who lived in New York. Miss Lively felt the selection of Mr. Baldoni's friend for this intimate role, in which the actor's face and hands were in close proximity to her nearly unclothed area for a birth scene.
The team behind the documentary It Ends with Justice says they're holding one thing that could change everything. Recorded evidence footage that they claim directly challenges Blake Lively's well-managed public version of what really happened. This isn't based on rumors or secondhand accounts. According to them, it's the kind of documented proof that could dramatically alter how the world sees her. The private clips reportedly capture moments Blake would rather the public never see. Instances that could crack the polished exterior she's built so carefully. But releasing this content isn't just about confronting a celebrity. It's about disrupting an entire industry machine built to protect its biggest stars at any cost. Among the more explosive claims, Blake's behavior during the filming of intimate scenes in It Ends with Us. According to production sources, Jin Simply ACTA allegedly took control in ways that crossed the professional line. These kinds of scenes typically require trust, sensitivity, and clear boundaries. But whispers from those on set suggest Blake pushed past those boundaries, creating situations where co-star Justin Baldoni reportedly felt cornered and undermined. Where she painted herself legally as the voice of reason in her lawsuit, the footage, they say, might offer a very different angle, one that flips the entire story on its head. Still, releasing this kind of material is far from easy. Going public with it doesn't just mean challenging one narrative. It means going toe-to-toe with a system skilled in spinning. Lawsuits, counterclaims, and polished PR responses stand at the ready. The filmmakers understand that even presenting this version of the truth could be turned against them, in court and in the media. That's why they insist they're approaching it with precision, cross-checking each clip, corroborating every detail, and ensuring every story is grounded in fact. Their goal? To make sure that once the truth is revealed, it can't be buried again. The footage itself, according to teasers from the team, includes alleged incidents of behind-the-scenes friction power moves. Blake made that left crew members conflicted in questioning her off-camera persona. These aren't grand scenes there. The subtle ones, quiet conversations, small gestures, offhand remarks, things never meant to be captured but caught nonetheless. The filmmakers believe this content goes beyond PR control. It shows what spin can't erase. And that leads to some uncomfortable questions. Is unveiling these clips worth the damage they might cause? Will sharing them shine a light or create more harm? For the creators, the answer is obvious. They believe truth must come first, especially in an environment where staying quiet is the norm. One moment in particular, kept under tight wraps, so far, is rumored to be the Kian incident that could shake Blake's image to its core and completely shift how this story is remembered. It's not just about questionable conduct or blurred boundaries. It's about how far power can stretch unchecked, and how quickly the narrative can be rewritten when those at the top pull the strings. This isn't only about Blake Lively, it's about how deep Hollywood control runs and what happens when someone tries to bring it to light.
And we saw something similar to that in Depp Heard, where the ACLU aligned itself with Amber Heard and put its reputation on the line to protect what the jury found to be malicious statements about Johnny. Now, so we're kind of seeing something similar to that here. So what happens in court is that sometimes a organization or individual can go in and say, hey, I have subject matter knowledge or expertise on this issue, Judge, that you're going to be reviewing. And so I am, as a friend of the court, going to present my kind of viewpoint on this to help you, to educate you, to make your decision better. That's fine. I've done it myself. These are these amicus briefs. Now, what happens, though, is that a lot of times they come in there just to advocate for a position on behalf of a party as if they actually knew what they were talking about as to the underlying facts when they have no clue what happened. Now, all of these organizations, and they may be all perfectly good organizations and super expert on the areas that they advocate for, have no better ability to determine truth from falsity than any of the rest of us, or certainly the judge. The judge does not need the National Organization of Women to tell the judge whether something happened or not. That's what we have a court case for, with testimony and documents and a jury or judge deciding it. So when I've looked at some of these briefs, what they're advocating for is saying protected speech by Blake. She had the right to speak out about the SA or whatever she was claiming, and she can't be sued for it. And there's a California law, which is California Civil Code Section 47.1, so 47.1, protects people who speak out against SA, whether they file in court or not, that they can't be sued for it unless certain conditions are satisfied. What these groups are seizing on is he can't sue her for this because this is protected speech and he is the abuser. You need to stop this, Judge. We know what we're talking about. This is going to impact all women. What they're leaving out is that the statute says she cannot be sued for these allegedly defamatory statements that were made by her against Justin unless it was done maliciously and her statements have to be factual. So they're leaving out those two really, really important, qualifications and just saying, well, just because Blake says that I didn't, say anything wrong and all my statements are true, therefore this is an affront against all women on planet Earth. That is absolutely ridiculous, way outside their area of expertise when they're not even properly applying the statute and do more harm.
What do you get when anger, betrayal, and the pursuit of justice collide in a single track? Enter I'm Not Your Dragonetta song that transforms Justin Baldoni's experience into a raw, emotional outburst. More than just music, it's become the emotional pulse of it ends with justice, shifting a personal conflict into a public reckoning. The documentary's creators see it as more than lyrics, it's a statement, a battle cry echoing not only Justin's voice, but that of anyone who's ever been manipulated or silenced by those in control. And the lyrics make one thing clear: this track pulls no punches. It dives headfirst into the sense of betrayal Justin claims to have endured while collaborating with Blake Lively. The tension, the power imbalance, the control emotions that have been simmering throughout his defamation dispute come erupting out in every line. Each verse hits like a charge, dripping with resentment and highlighting the toxic undercurrents allegedly present during filming. To Justin, this wasn't a miscommunication, it was calculated manipulation, and the track makes that distinction painfully obvious. By translating his frustration into music, Justin finds a sharper voice, one that slices through the carefully spun headlines and courtroom outcomes. Yet I'm Not Your Dragon reaches beyond the personal, confronts broader themes of authority, silence, and imbalance, the same forces crew members described as suffocating on set. These are industry-wide issues, and the song taps into them powerfully. The documentary team didn't just want a vent, they wanted something universal, something that would hit home for anyone who's ever felt powerless under someone else's control. And let's face it, those power struggles aren't just a Hollywood problem. The song's biting lines reflect that helplessness, that anger of being voiceless while someone else dictates the rules. Whether you're in film or not, the emotion cuts through. The public reaction is already rolling in, now available on streaming platforms. The track isn't just adding buzzets, feeding the fire, driving interest in the documentary. But this isn't just promo. It's a punch to the gut. It draws listeners in emotionally, leaving them curious about the deeper story behind the music. Social media is lighting up with reactions, some backing Justin's version of events, others debating whether the song crosses a line by calling out Blake directly. But that tension, that's what the creators aimed for. One particular lyric grabs attention for its raw simplicity. You built a story. I'm the one who burns. It doesn't just encapsulate the song, it captures the heart of this entire unraveling. It's a bold declaration from someone who's done being underestimated and is now fighting back. With this track amplifying the message, the filmmakers are pushing listeners to do more than just vibe. They want people to examine the realities lurking beneath Hollywood's glossy surface. So now, the spotlight turns to the audience. Are you willing to hear what's being said? More importantly, what will you do with what you learn?
Using it, let's call it, in order for a underlying agenda and a fight that she picked that probably she regrets picking.
Yeah, I mean, you've always sort of said that, because we've talked specifically. Like we talked in our documentary, which stay tuned. We may be touching upon things that we touch upon there. That's fine. But the grade of this case, please don't hold back. But there's always been this other thing about the harassment claim doesn't even matter if it's true, because in California, if she levels a SH claim, as we call them, it's if he retaliated in any form, even after a harassment claim was made, he could still be found guilty. Correct? So whether the SH was true or not, we already have to sort of contend with that. Is that true?
Right. So you have two things. One is the harm because of the act itself, and then the harm because you complain about the act itself. But there's a qualifier. You complaining about the act has to be done in good faith. It can't just be just thrown out there just because. And it leans heavy on for the accuser, right? If the accuser just has any good faith basis for this, you cannot retaliate against her. So yeah, there will be viewed differently in two separate columns.
So this 47.1, I want to go back to. This communications made with, as stated in civil section 47.1, with communications made without malice, further provide that this section shall only apply to an individual that has or at any time had a reasonable basis to file a complaint of SAH discrimination. These requirements that the communications be made without malice and without reasonable basis in fact, are why Lively's arguments fall flat. And as alleged in the FAC, Lively fabricated her allegations of SH either with wholesale or by exaggerated benign and not harassing interactions in a concerted malicious effort to seize control of the film and later restore her reputation after a well-publicized series of marketing missteps that sullied her reputation. What's also interesting is it does feel like the first time they're also even saying, yeah, now they hijacked the film and the franchise. They really are finally, it does feel like bringing all their things together here to reiterate because you've said it before, it's not harassment if it's just one of those claims, right? It has to be all of them under the same umbrella is what makes it more of that harassment claim. So do you agree with what they're saying here? Or do they have a better shot because of the attempted, effort to seize control of the film and everything else that he's saying here?
Right. So we've spoken like what Baldoni's alleged to have done is not like one super serious, like the boob grab, right? It's not that. It's these kind of like nefarious things which shouldn't happen in the workplace, but they have to happen over a course of time to meet the legal standard. Now, once this underlying story kind of comes up, her motivations for bringing these quote unquote unlawful things during those stories of them trying to take over the film now give context to his counterclaim. And I believe that it is a huge deal for the judge to see in order for the judge to make a determination. Now, what is very interesting and most people don't kind of understand is that the judges at this stage, where they're just like like, well, I'm just looking at you guys' complaints. The judge can't really make a credibility finding. He has to assume what is in the complaint is true. So that is why Baldoni's attorneys are like, this doesn't have a shot because of how detailed the complaint by Baldoni is. The judge cannot make an opposite finding because he has to, or she has to make an assumption that everything in that very well-detailed complaint is true.
Right now, the creators of It Ends with Justice need one thing above all: for you, the audience, to step in. This isn't just a battle to tell a story. It's a fight against powerful forces, looming legal threats, and an industry that often refuses to confront its own dark corners. With Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds casting a long shadow, some streaming services have reportedly backed away from the project. That's left the filmmakers relying on supporters like you to help bring the truth into the light. And that's where your role begins. Supporting this documentary doesn't just mean tuning in when it's released, it means helping ensure it reaches that point. The team has built a unique membership platform that invites you to stand beside them in their pursuit of truth. This isn't a one-off fundraiser or viral moment. It's a foundation for lasting support, designed to keep momentum going, no matter what hurdles appear. When platforms allegedly turned their backs, the creators didn't give up, they leaned on their audience. By moving away from sites like Patreon and launching their own membership system, they cut through red tape and gave their supporters a direct line to contribute. This setup offers exclusive access, bonus content, production updates, and even creative involvement in the project. Those joining at higher tiers receive perks like an investor bundle with a shirt, stickers, and the chance to have their name appear in the film's credits. It's their way of making this more than just a cause. It's a mission you can personally be part of. And if financial support isn't possible, the filmmakers emphasize that sharing the message is just as critical. Posting updates, sending the trailer to a friend, or spreading awareness online helps elevate voices that have long been ignored. These small acts of support matter, especially in a landscape dominated by Hollywood's polished PR teams determined to bury uncomfortable truths. Every click, every share, every conversation creates momentum. And momentum is exactly what can force even the biggest stars to answer hard questions. One recent breakthrough proves how powerful this kind of grassroots energy can be. Thanks to early advocates spreading the word, a private screening of key footage caught the attention of journalists, opening new investigative doors. That ripple effect is proof. When enough people care, even the giants of Hollywood have to pay attention. By backing this project, you're doing more than supporting a film, you're challenging a system built to silence and shield. You're showing that fame doesn't exempt anyone from accountability when enough people choose to speak up. So now, it's your turn. Are you ready to help reveal what's been buried? Hollywood's power thrives where silence grows. I think this documentary breaks that silence, exposing how it's used to protect names like Blake Lively, forcing those without influence to fight alone. Crew members who once had no voice are now stepping into the light, risking everything to share their truth. Their bravery shows how speaking out can shake even the firmest foundations, but they can't do it without backup. Spread the word. Stand with the documentary. I'll prove that no one stands above the truth. This story isn't finished. The facts, the voices, the hidden details, they're all still unfolding. And now, you have a chance to help bring them to the surface, where they belong.